Hello, welcome back to Ruhoni Sewing. My name is Ruth, and today we are going to have a tutorial on how to draft a dress block pattern. This tutorial will be on a one-piece dress block pattern. Without further delays, please let us start. As usual, these are our materials. We have our curved ruler, we have our pair of scissors, we have our tape measure, a piece of carbon paper to trace the dart, we have the ruler, the pencil, rubber, we have our square ruler. We also have our closed fitting patterns for the back and front, as well as our pattern paper. Again, remember to leave a space of 0.5 inches at the top of your pattern paper as well as at the sides of your pattern paper. For a dress pattern, you need a long pattern paper. Here I am using a flip chart paper. So I had to join it at some point. You can see the sellotapes so that the length of this pattern paper can accommodate the length of my dress. These are the close fitting pattern for the front as well as for the back, but they end up at the hip line. Our dress is longer than that, so we are going to draw them in a pattern paper which will accommodate the whole length of our dress, and we are going to start with our front pattern. Place your pattern paper well, making sure that your center front aligns well with your side line of your pattern paper, and the tip of your shoulder touches the top line of your pattern paper. Secure your patterns with pins or weight or anything which is easier for you or which works for you. Now start tracing your pattern from the shoulder to your arm side, your neckline, up to your hip line. With the aid of your carbon paper, trace your side seam, mark the bust point, and then trace your center dart, that is your waist dart. Mark the points for the bust line, for your waistline, as well as your chest line. Now remove the pins as well as the pattern. Here is your traced pattern. So now you have already traced our pattern using your rulers, your curved ruler, your square ruler. Redraw the pattern so that now it can be clearly seen. Redraw the arm side, the darts, the bust, the waistlines, as well as your center dart. So here is our pattern up to the hip line. So before we continue, let us talk a bit about our basic patterns. Here we have our patterns. The top one is our back pattern and the bottom one is our front pattern. If you look at their length, they differ. I have joined them at the shoulder so that you can see the difference at their hip line. The front is longer than the back. This is because the distance from the nape to the waist of the back is shorter than the distance from the shoulder to the waist. To clarify further, I've put these patterns side by side. That is our waist of our back pattern, and that is our nape. That is the distance now, nape to waist. If you compare to the distance from the shoulder to the waist, you see the difference? So that is a point to consider when you are drafting a dress pattern. when you are measuring the length of your dress, measure the whole length of your dress. That is, you are measuring from the front to the desired length. Maybe you want your dress to be below the knee or slightly above the knee, or it's a mid-length dress, or it's a max dress. Whatever the length, but measure the whole length of your dress. But we also need to remember we have a distance from the shoulder to the waist, and we have the whole length of our dress. So when we are drafting our dress pattern, we will need a difference between the shoulder to the waist and the whole length of our dress. Now let us even clarify further. The distance from the shoulder to the waist is 18 inches, and the whole length of my dress is 38 inches. So now to make the dress pattern, we need to add from the waistline the difference between the whole length of my dress and the difference than the measurement from the shoulder to the waist. So now we are going to measure the difference between the whole length of my dress and that of the shoulder to waist measurement. In my case, the difference is 20 inches. So we measure from the waist 20 inches going down. With your square ruler, now square down from your side line. And from our hip line, with your square ruler, square down to the bottom line that we've just drawn. Here it seems like it is slanting, but it is not. Now with your curved ruler, smooth the lines at the hip line to avoid sharp corners. As always, remember to label your pattern paper, the grain line, the lines. Mark this as your front dress block. Also do not forget to label the center fronts. Now cut your pattern. Finish off with your neckline. So here is your pattern ready from the shoulder to the bust line, waistline, hip line, up to the bottom line. So as we did with our front bodice pattern, we are also going to trace our pattern. Make sure to mark all the necessary points. Again, with the aid of your carbon paper, trace your dart, put all the points, mark the points for the waist and for the bust. So exactly as we did with our front, with the aid of your rulers, redraw the pattern so that it can be clearly seen. The shoulder, the arm side, the neckline, all points. So our pattern is ready. So as we did with our front, we are going to measure 20 inches from the waistline going down. Now we are about to finish our pattern again with your square ruler. Square from the side line and square from your hip line going down. Redraw the hip curve. Again, label your patterns, your grain line, center back. This is your back dress block. Now it is time to cut your pattern. The arm side, the shoulder line, your neckline, and finish with the center back line. Our finished pattern.